Good day. Battleship. The very name conjures up the image of mighty metal mountains plying the waves to do battle with distant foes. Sadly, the battleship is a relic of a bygone age, as it was made obsolete by the aircraft carrier. Now today, we are heading out to LaPorte, Texas, to take a look at the most mighty of battleships, the Battleship Texas.
To get to LaPorte, we must first travel through the economic heart of Texas. As we pass over the 610 Bridge, we can see the massive trading center that is the Ship Channel. We must also remember that the first thing that ever gets cut is maintenance. Texas is well known for its oil and gas industry, and as we pass by a few oil refineries, it's always wise to keep the windows rolled up and the AC on, as they do not smell too pleasant. Now, we have arrived at the Battleship Texas itself, and when I said Metal Mountain, I was not over-exaggerating. Look at the size of this bloody thing! As a native Space City flatlander, this is the closest we get to having a bloody mountain. And as I always love to point out, this thing, while being fairly large, still is not the largest of warships. A Nimitz-class carrier or a Missouri-class battleship will make even the mighty Texas appear somewhat diminutive. The Battleship Texas was not the first U.S. Navy warship to carry the name, nor was it the last. The first ship to carry the mighty name of Texas was a battleship that was commissioned from 1892 to 1911. Following this Battleship Texas, the next vessel to carry the name was the Virginia-class nuclear-powered guided missile cruiser that was commissioned from 1977 to 1993. And the current ship to carry the name is the USS Texas SSN 775. A nuclear-powered Virginia-class submarine. The USS Texas BB-35 was the second of the New York-class battleships. Congress approved of its construction in 1910 for the price of $5,830,000 United States dollars. This price for some reason excluded weapons and armor, so the real price is likely even more. It was laid down on April 17, 1911 at Newport News Shipbuilding in Newport News, Virginia. The ship would then be launched on the 18th of May, 1912, and then later commissioned on the 12th of March, 1914, and would serve with distinction in the U.S. Navy until it was decommissioned on the 21st of April, 1948. It would be struck on the 30th of April of that same year, and on April 17th, the Battleship Texas Commission was established by the Texas State Legislature to care for the ship. On March the 17th, the Battleship Texas began its journey to the Houston Ship Channel and arrived on April 20th, where she was turned over to the state of Texas, thus becoming the first battleship to ever be permanently preserved. And seeing as how this is Texas, the ship was commissioned as the flagship of the Texas Navy. Damn, I love my state. And since then, the Battleship Texas has functioned as a floating museum. Sadly, there have been numerous funding issues, and the ship has been decaying over time. If you are going to go see the Battleship Texas, it would be wise to do so soon, as the Texas is going to be removed from the water and placed into a dry berth, due to a losing battle with corrosion. Still though, once it is sadly placed upon dry land, the Texas should still serve as one of the most awe-inspirational of maritime museums. Now it's time for the all-important tech specs. The Battleship Texas was upgraded and refitted throughout its entire service life, and was even the first battleship to be fitted with AA guns. When first launched, its length was 574 feet, its beam was 95 feet, and its draft was 29 feet 7 inches maximum. It was powered by 14 Babcock and Wilcox coal-fired boilers that could generate 20,954 kilowatts as designed. In trials, they found that they could generate 21,429 kilowatts. The ship had two vertical triple expansion steam engines with two screw propellers. The speed was 21 knots as designed, but in trials they got it up to 21.5 knots. The ship had a range of 8,125 miles at 10 knots. And it had a crew complement of 1,042 men. As this is a battleship named Texas, it had lots of guns. 10 14-inch caliber guns, 21 5-inch guns, 4 3-pounders, 2 1-pounders, and 4 21-inch torpedoes. The ship was well armored, with its belt armor being 10 to 12 inches midships, 6 inches aft, and 9 inches lower belt aft. Bulkheads were 10 and 11 inches, barbettes were 5 to 12 inches, turrets were 14-inch face, 4-inch top, 8 to 9-inch sides, and 8-inch rear. Decks were 1.5 to 3 inches. The conning tower was 12 inches with 4 inches on top. A mighty vessel, to be certain. But in 1925 through 26, the ship was upgraded considerably. The coal-fired boilers were replaced with 6 Bureau Express oil-fired boilers, and the speed was actually decreased to 19.72 knots. The ship now carried 3 float planes, and a catapult was added to turret number 3. Torpedo bulges were also added, and the beam was increased to 160 feet, and the draft was increased to 31-foot maximum. This upgrade also saw several AA guns added. In 1942, the ship received some upgraded armaments, and in 1945, the ship received numerous radar systems, and had 1.75 inches of armor added to the turret tops, and it started carrying 2 Kingfisher aircraft. These aircraft and their attendant catapult would later be removed. As of 2018, the ship is painted in Measure 21 camo, as it was in 1945. The ship itself would go on to earn 5 battle stars. During the First World War, the Battleship Texas primarily served as a convoy escort, with a few interludes as a blockade ship. Tangentially related to the Battleship Texas, the gun crew of the merchant ship Magnolia was trained on the Texas, and that ship ended up opening fire on a surface U-boat, and said fire became the opening American shots of World War I. In the Second World War, the Texas provided some bombardment during Operation Torch. The Texas was also quite active during Operation Overlord. Initially, the Texas bombarded, along with other ships, Point du Hoc. The bombardment commenced at 5:50 a.m., and from that time to 6:24 a.m., the Texas fired 255 shells, or 7.5 shells per minute. At 12:23 p.m., the Texas closed to within 3,000 yards of Omaha Beach and provided fire support to the attacking infantry. On June 7th, the Texas provided support to a Ranger battalion that was isolated from the rest of the invasion force. The Texas acquired 2 Higgins boats and stocked them with provisions, and sent them to the Rangers to resupply them. The Higgins boats survived and brought wounded to the Texas. Sadly, one did not survive and died on the operating table. POWs were also brought to the ship as well, 20 Germans and 4 Italians. They were not formally interrogated, however. The Texas was later attacked by a German plane, but neither the enemy nor the ship scored a hit. During the Battle of Cherbourg, the ship came under attack and was hit by a 24-centimeter shell. However, only one man died due to his wounds, helmsman Christian Christensen. The Texas would later be transferred from the European Theater of Operations to the Pacific Theater of Operations, where it participated in the bombardment of Iwo Jima, and it would also provide fire support for the invading Marines. She would do the same during the Battle of Okinawa, and she would claim 1 kamikaze kill and 3 assists. She would leave Okinawa on the 14th of May and would take up station at Leyte in the Philippines, and she would remain there until the end of the war. With the war won, the Texas participated in one final operation, Operation Magic Carpet. Put simply, Operation Magic Carpet was the massive mission to return all the millions of American servicemen to the United States, and is something I highly recommend doing further research on. With its participation in Magic Carpet completed, the Battleship Texas would steam to Norfolk on the 21st of January to undergo preparations for inactivation, and thus we would see the end of the mighty career of the Battleship Texas. Before we go, we must of course take a look at the San Jacento Monument, as it's literally just across the street. This monument marks the monumental victory of the mighty Texans over the Mexican military in the Battle of San Jacinto. A most excellent victory, if ever there was one. I also apologize for the blue filter. I forgot to change it from indoor to outdoor. So no, Texas in real life does not look like a blue version of the Matrix. The monument stands 567.31 feet high, 12 feet higher than the, shall we say, rather diminutive Washington Monument, but that is to be expected, as everything is indeed bigger in Texas after all. Construction of the monument lasted from 1936 to 1939. At the base of the monument is the San Jacento Museum of History, an absolutely excellent museum filled with a great many artifacts. However, as this video is going on rather long, we are instead just going to move to the top of the monument. At 567.31 feet, one can really get a good look at the surrounding area, and one can indeed feel a bit small. That speck out there is the giant mountain of steel that is the Battleship Texas. Overall, the San Jacento Monument is a great capstone to any trip to check out the Battleship Texas, and is of great interest to anyone who enjoys historical subjects. Now, it is time to head back and wrap up this adventure.
I've been to the Battleship Texas and San Jacento Monument numerous times in my life, and I have enjoyed them every single bloody time. The Battleship Texas is a technological marvel, and is really quite awe-inspirational. The San Jacento Monument is, of course, 12 feet higher than the Washington Monument, and does provide an excellent vantage point, and it is well stocked with artifacts, most notably a Spencer carbine. In fact, their Spencer carbine was the very first one I ever saw in real life, and I highly recommend checking them both out. And so, I am GeneralLotz, wishing you good USS Lexington, and good Corpus Christi Maritime Museum, or whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed my outdoor excursion to the Battleship Texas and the San Jacinto Monument, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you these awesome outdoor excursions.